Hi Mads, electric vehicles. Let's talk about electric vehicles. What do you think?
Personally, I love electrical vehicles. Everything that's green, I love it.
Yeah. And what about aid and development organizations?
I believe aid and development organizations, we have a lot of interest for them. What do you think? Why are they interested?
Well, I think they're interested because electric vehicles are considered green. The green alternative, there is very little, if no, CO2 emission coming from electric vehicles, and definitely no air pollution.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why it's very much of interest, because it's a tangible solution. It's like a tool to green your footprint.
Okay, yeah. So does this mean that aid and development organizations, they have a lot of electric vehicles in their fleets?
You see, I don't think they have a lot. They have a lot of interest.
Okay.
But we have seen them starting to purchase and ask for them now, haven't we?
We're in the very beginning. In the very beginning, yes. So it makes me wonder, what is holding them back?
I don't know. I think it's the same. Remember when you and I started to discuss our private purchase of an electrical vehicle, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we were afraid of range.
Yeah?
You were afraid of range, right?
Yeah, but it turned out to be, I really didn't have to be afraid of it because it easily covers what I'm doing. But what about aid and development organizations? Are they driving thousands of kilometers?
No, you know, what we learned from great information from Fleet Forum, that most organizations, they're urban used vehicles. They go less than 100 kilometers, maybe even 60 to 80 kilometers a day.
That should easily be covered by an electric vehicle, huh?
I mean, most electric vehicles today, they go easily 300 kilometers.
Okay. So I besides from this, could there be other issues that prevents them from, going all in?
Yeah, another one is charging. I mean, we are all concerned that we run out of power, right? In the middle of the road.
Yeah.
So how do I charge?
Yeah, I think there's solutions for that. I think we can look at that. And what about the other green, the dollar notes?
You mean the dollar notes?
Yes.
You know what? All things being equal, I believe they are less green, meaning they're cheaper to service than normal vehicles.
Yeah.
You remember last week you and I went to this EV Expo.
Yeah.
And what was it about the taxi company?
Yeah, but they showed that 200 vehicles changed from fossil fuel vehicles to electric vehicles, provided them quite a saving. Yeah. So why don't we just go out and check out the cost maybe and focus on that?
So you mean we compare cost on an electrical vehicle with a traditional vehicle?
Yeah, why not?
And because it's interesting, because aid and development, they are very much interested. They like tangible solutions to reduce the footprint. So maybe we should look more at the cost of driving electric vehicles.
Yeah. Okay.
Good idea.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Here we have an electrical vehicle, and we are going to talk a bit about the cost of service maintenance. Maybe you could start elaborating a bit how an electrical vehicle compares with a traditional vehicle.
Yes, I can. First of all, the electric vehicle doesn't have the conventional combustion engine, meaning there is no service requirement for the engine that impacts on the oil and the fuel and the air filter, but also the engine oil. So there's no maintenance on the engine part of it.
All things that themselves are bad for the environment as well.
Yeah, I think so, because you use the oil and then you need to dispose it afterwards. Yeah. So not only a cost, but also a concern for the environment. Yeah. If we look a bit further, then also the electrical vehicle does not have a transmission, meaning that there's no transmission fluid to replace or check for that matter. So again, it eases maintenance. But I think one of the most important things for the electric vehicle is that it is less prone to humidity, to dust, to contaminated fluids, oils, and to pure fuel quality. So in essence, you can actually have a longer service interval for an electric vehicle if you compare it to a vehicle with a combustion engine.
So the frequency of taking your vehicle in for service, because you don't need the 5,000-10,000 oil filter, fuel filter check, is no there.
No,
it's not there. Yeah.
no, the need is not there.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah, but what else then? There gotta be something. What about the, there's no engine. What about the battery then?
There is a battery in there, and it's fairly big, but it does not require maintenance.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Great. So I hear what you're saying, that we have taken away the cost of the traditional service and maintenance. So we are still sitting with quite a lot the question then, better safe than sorry. Can you provide a spare part kit?
Yes.
So how do we get around that, you think?
Well, if you were to ask me for a spare part kit for, let's say, 2 years and 50,000 kilometers of operation, what I would give you or send with the vehicle would actually be these two here.
And what is that?
There's the cabin dust filter, or pollen filters as we know them.
That could come by DHL.
Yeah, or in the car.
Yeah. Great.
So I guess that's really it for an electric vehicle. It's fairly easy to maintain, and you can drive it for a longer period of time before you need to maintain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In short.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay. What are you doing, Mads?
I'm about to charge the vehicle boat.
Okay. Is it that simple?
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. So tell me what happens here?
You see, Bo, you can say it's very simple actually. In principle, all you need is your charger. But however, in this case, we have a bit more of elements. We have the solar panels. The solar panels generate electricity that goes straight down to the vehicle. And further, for this version, we also have a battery storage. So excess electricity will be stored in a battery, enabling you to charge your vehicle on a overnight or a rainy or day or something. So you always have electricity available for your vehicle.
Okay. So you can charge at night, you say?
Yes.
Tell me, how does this compare with fueling a vehicle? The normal way you're charging versus fueling. How efficient is it?
There are of course a lot of variables, prices on fuel and electricity, but taking it all, we like to give it a rule of thumb. So if you have a use where, let's say you spend $50 on your petrol vehicle every week on fuel, you can say that going the same distance in the week with an electrical vehicles, you should spend $25. So half.
Okay. So if I use $50 a week, I can cut it down to 25 by switching to an electric vehicle?
Yes,
okay.
That's general assumptions.
Yeah. I've heard something about electric vehicles being more efficient when you compared with a petrol vehicle when you drive within the city. Is that something you have experienced as well?
Yeah, definitely. My experience is that first of all, it's a lot more convenient with electric vehicles in urban conditions, but definitely also it at the end of the week it appears that we are going far more than compared with the petrol vehicle and what we would expect.
Yeah, because what I heard was that when you brake the electric vehicle, it sort of regenerates that power into electricity that it stores back on the battery, that it can use to propel the vehicle again, and that's quite smart.
Yeah, and exactly that's how it works, and it feels so good that when you brake, you're actually collecting energy to propel you again.
Ah, okay. I guess it's difficult for a petrol vehicle to start making new petrol when you brake, right?
Yes.
That's not possible.
No.
It's not possible. That's smart. Okay, but that's interesting.
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm done now.
Yeah, all right. So having looked at the various aspects of electric vehicles versus fuel type vehicles, I think that we can conclude on the costing, right?
Yeah, what we've been through, I think it's quite obvious that operating an electric vehicle is more economical than operating a fuel vehicle.
And that is mainly because that there are fewer mechanical parts and to maintain and service, and you can extend the service intervals, right?
Yes, and remember also we discussed the price of electricity versus fuel, and that approximately a rule of thumb is that it's half the price of electricity compared to fuel for the same number of kilometers.
Speaking about that, when you showed me the charging station, do I really need that to come with the vehicle?
No. That what we saw out there was a full standalone solution, solar driven. But in principle, all you need is access to the grid and some kind of a home or mini charger. Going through all the cost, I think it will be difficult actually to calculate specific saving because of variables of cost of electricity, fuel, spare parts, lubricants. They all differ from country to country. But I think still, overall seen, it's there are considerable savings per driven kilometer.
Okay, so in other words, the electric vehicle is less expensive to operate from the first kilometer.
Yeah.
Okay. What about other costs that you usually factor in? I'm thinking about insurance, tires, road taxes, and stuff like that.
Again, vary from country to country, obviously, but they're not really relevant because for the most portion of them, they will be the same as for the standard vehicle. One thing we could argue, of course, is the price tag of the vehicle. Today, an electrical vehicle is higher priced than a comparable traditional sedan vehicle, fuel or petrol.
But that is somehow offset again by that, the decreased or the lower operating cost, right?
Yes, only the buying price is higher.
Yeah. So tell me, how will I know if I should choose an electric vehicle over a fuel type vehicle?
Well, besides what we already been through, I think we know that the operating costs are lower, but I still think going to an electric vehicle you should consider also what are my driving needs and can an electric vehicle cover that, and finally also do I see myself into the electric vehicle and the green transformation.
Okay. So after that, I guess we'll have to look at the calculation using my own model, or?
Yes, I mean you could probably use what you already have in your organization, but also approach us to help us to do the numbers. I mean that, as we saw, there are other factors to consider.
Yeah. Speaking about other factors, what about the value of driving green and being the driver's seat in the green transformation? What value could we add to that? I mean, in my word, it means something to me. It's difficult to specify a specific number, but I guess you have to factor that in as right.
In my opinion, it's obvious that you should factor in the value of being green and driving green. The opposite is that you factor in a value, a plus value per kilometer for driving traditional vehicles.
Okay, and emitting CO2 and other harmful emissions.
Yeah. Now we're offsetting from the beginning instead of doing it afterwards.
Okay, I agree. That's a good point. So what do you think? Any final words before we leave this session?
No, I think what we've seen over time now is that the green transformation is happening right now. It's not the future. So I encourage and we invite everyone in to discuss the green transformation because it's happening now all over the world.
Okay. Thank you, Mads.
Thank you both.
Thank you.